All right, we are live. We are from hype to nope. We are predicting more auction losers. This is live. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show. All right, we are live in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. My name is John Polnick, and we are in the Rami studio. That's Rami right there in the middle. He's sandwiched. The studio is named after that guy, Rami Mirza. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good. Sandwiching is a story of my life.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, a little bit of left, a little bit of right. All right, and all the way over on the other side of the screen is my partner, Michael Deeb. He is not in San Francisco. He's actually here in the studio with us. If you can believe that, we're all in the same place here in Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are talking about auctions. We're talking about auction results. We are going to analyze new listings, and we are going to talk about the losers from the last episode. Let's get right to it, fellas. You ready?
Yeah, let's do this. Come on now.
Okay, just before we get going, we got to shout out to our good friends at Porsche Henderson right here in Las Vegas. Thank you guys for supporting the show and welcome to the program. They are part of Godden Classic as well. Shout out to Paul Jarrett over there running both shows, and of course Steve Teal at Godden Classic. Okay, let's get to it. I'm looking at my watch. My watch is saying it's time to get going. Both Deeb and I have our Hoursmiths watch on, and then there's Rami in the middle with his Rolex. When it needs service, I'm sure he'll send it to Anthony over there. All right, let's get to it.
Relax.
Yeah.
Deeb, you happy to be in town?
I am so happy to be in town. And, you know, it's funny. People come up to me all the time, JP, and they say, why does JP have to fly you to California to do the show? This time there were no flights, so I get to be in studio tonight. So thank you for letting me in the door, Rami, JP. It's great to be here. Just awesome trip. We photographed some very cool cars, John, and videotaped with Lee Patet. It was great to see Lee this morning. In the snow, if I can tease ahead to a couple of future listings that will be produced by JP and peddled by me. But the assets we got in the snow out at Red Rock today were pretty epic. It doesn't happen very often, but we were out there today braving the cold. Thank you, Rami, for getting up and driving the hero car. So good times, man.
Absolutely.
A very successfup business trip. And now we get to be in studio together. Let's go.
Shout out to the nerd herd, but I got beef with Chris Carbine. What's up, bro? He's like, I thought it would be on time since Deeb was in the studio.
Yeah.
What? How is it always my fault? What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why...
Blame it on me. It's fine.
Ironically, it was my mic.
Nothing to do with your mic.
It was my mic, and then it was my can. So, you know, if I wasn't here, you guys would have been on time for sure.
All right, let's get to some auction listing.
Here.
Let's do it. Let's talk about some cars. What was the first car in the last episode? Michael D., what do we got?
All right, JP. We are going to circle back to the 2008 Lamborghini Gallardo Spyder with a 6-speed manual transmission. Our car was listed as an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer out of Jacksonville, Florida. Our car has 31,000 miles on the odometer, and the car ran on Bring a Trailer where the seller had purchased it back in March of 2023. At that time, JP, the car had a matte gray, matte black wrap on it. It's got the black and white interior and the Callisto wheels, which we determined were a stock wheel that was just like the optional upgrade. Mm-hmm. The car ran at that time, JP, no reserve as an alumni listing back then, and it sold for $128,000 at 1,000 Oaks with, again, 31,000 miles on the odometer. Car comes back, the wrap is off, and now we get to see the flat black paint job that's on the car. The car looks really good, but it is very soon after the car was last listed, and we wondered if it would do better or not. The thing that we also noticed, JP, is that these assets are cell phone photos taken in a parking lot, and they're terribly produced. This is a very special car and one of those rare models that in a down market are trending upward. The Lamborghini and the Audi V10s and V8s that have the manual transmission, the gated shifters, those cars are all gaining value. This car should be moving in that direction. So if you know you have a hot asset, you would do well to go and hire a professional and get great assets. And that's not what happened here. So, John, we talked to our friends at classic.com. They say, hey, yeah, Gallardo Spyders. And this number includes both manuals and the automatics or the single clutches. Gallardo Spyders from 2008 are typically $105,700. JP, I thought this car would still do good despite the poor assets. My bid was $146,000. Ironically, you took the over at $149,999, and we had Jason Roth from, oh my God, I forgot the name of his dealership. I'm so mad at myself. I have to look it up. Yep. Jason, the newest dealership in Seattle. Jason joined us as third nerd. Thank you, Jason, for jumping on with us.
Auto Avia, thank you. $125,000 was his bid. He was much more bearish on this one. So, JP, without further ado, our car hammered for just $122,000, where it failed to sell on 22 bids. So Jason got it right. And it's really interesting because, again, I get that the assets were poor, and I get that it only sold for 128, but I still think like somebody would jump on this car. For everybody in the room to get off this car at 122 is actually a bit of a head scratcher to me. So I'm curious to know your take. Like when you saw that result and we looked at the car, you know, we did the same thing with an Audi a while ago. It had a wrap on it, and we kind of like poo-pooed it. And we said if they had taken the wrap off and left that beautiful gleaming white paint alone, like we had seen the car was originally born in, that it would do better. Well, this guy took our advice but didn't get good assets. And, you know, I mean, he suffered 122, an FTS on BAT's kind of like up a creek with it. I mean, better assets would have helped, but he seemed to be really far away from the mark. So what do you think's going on? Does this represent? It has the value of these dropped because the new car came out, the Temerario or whatever the heck you want to call it. No one seems to know how.
No one can pronounce it. Not even the guy from the Lamborghini dealership couldn't even pronounce it.
Right?
Or
it's
corporate.
true. It's totally true. Rami, what do you think of the result of this? I mean, I know that Deep forgot to ask you what your bid would be, but that's okay.
Thanks, buddy.
That's all right.
Thanks.
He doesn't want to play.
He doesn't want to play along. It's all right. Deep. You know, your cans didn't work, your mic didn't work, and now your brain's not working.
Yeah,
we're all good. We're all good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go a different route on this, and I'm going to say that this car is the price it went for is correct because Americans don't want manuals. Everybody wants an automatic. Everybody. I don't know why, and only car guys want a manual. So the value of it, I think personally, just from shopping around, they're always worth less, which is crazy to me.
Wait, the value of what is worth less?
Manuals.
Yeah, no,
that's
I wouldn't
just
agree
not
with
the
that.
case.
No, you don't think so? Demonstrably not true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
I mean,
How?
The Ferraris from the 90s and the early 2000s that are still out there with gated manuals, of which every batch of Ferrari was like a smaller portion or percentage of those.
Yes.
Those cars are all bringing twice as much money as the automatics.
Literally twice. But I think what Rami's onto something, though, is that Ferrari guys that are the guy that's looking for a Ferrari with 3 pedals is going out and looking for a Ferrari with 3 pedals. The guy that's looking for a Lamborghini wants a Lamborghini, and that's all he cares about.
Correct.
So I think that what you might be kind of like, maybe it needs to be parsed what Rami's saying.
I'm alluding to.
Right. Well, it's like, okay, in general, most sports cars, the enthusiasts want the manual ones, and the manual ones bring a lot more money. But I think there are just far fewer actual enthusiasts when it comes to Lamborghinis.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lamborghini owners, the American people, and just people in general. Lamborghini owners aren't performance drivers typically.
Right.
They're usually not the guy. How often do you see a Lamborghini on the track? Like almost never.
Never.
But you always see Porsches, Alfas, and Ferraris like constantly.
Yes.
So I think is that what you meant?
That's exactly what I meant.
You were talking about
didn't say it properly.
Lamborghini people in particular.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
I was talking about the people who they shop it for what it looks like and not how it drives.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes way more sense.
And
And I
that's
think
why.
you're right. I actually think that's what's going on with this car is that, you know, and it represents an opportunity for people who do want a truly great car. These Gallardos with a gated transmission are fantastic.
JP, do you remember the Balboni? That was a great car too.
Yeah, but those only came automatic. You couldn't get a Balboni.
No, Balbonis were stick.
I don't know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
but
Trust me.
yeah, somebody out there will know.
Somebody will know.
Somebody will correct the nerds. Which nerd is right? Which nerd is wrong? We're all nerds, though. Yeah, there was something else I wanted to mention about that Lamborghini, too. It's like, go ahead, Deep.
I was going to ask you a question. So, given what you guys are saying about the Lamborghini shopper and this guy owns the car. So at $122,000, do we think, or do you guys think that the seller should have taken that? Like, should that have gotten it done?
I actually think that this car could do way better if it were on a forum. I think if this guy put it on 6speed online or one of the other online listing places, it may have done better. I'm just, the Audi version of this car, an Audi R8, if it had a manual, those bring 50% more than the automatic version, and it's just weird that the Lamborghini person isn't that person. But is it also something to do with what's going on in the economy? Are people freaked out? I just don't think people are. I think people are looking for exciting stuff. But I honestly think it's what Rami said. It's Lambo buyers want the latest whiz-bang thing, and someone who wants a Lamborghini has to finance it, and they're not financing an old one. They're financing a brand new one or a late model one.
JP, way to spin it, man.
Boom. All right, let's move on. What do you guys think of this poor little Gallardo, this underloved gated car? I would love to have this in my garage. I think this would be just a spectacular car to rip around in, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on to the next car, Deep.
All right, JP, we are going to circle back to Chris Carbine's listing. The 2002 BMW Z8, our car is showing 28,000 miles and listed out of New Orleans, Louisiana. The car is listed on Cars and Bids. And the big news here, JP, it's not just any Z8. This is one of the desired and extra valuable topaz blue from the factory. So we have seen that the topaz blue cars bring a financial premium in the secondary market. Chris Carbine was representing this car for one of his loyal and regular customers, a member of the club that they're all a part of. The car has been treated to sort of a no-expense spared refurbishment to bring the car up to snuff, and also treated to these beautiful Alpina wheels. So the car looks very attractive in the photos. And again, we just don't see the topaz blue cars come to market very often. This one does have a few miles on it, but we know from the receipts that everything's been done. This car has been brought back. It is it's turnkey and ready to enjoy. And it's a collector grade car. So Chris brings it to market. We took a look. According to our friends at classic.com, they say that a 2002 Z8 is typically a $211,900 in the secondary market. According to our friends at Haggerty.com, they say that there's a 25% value add for this color. JP, with all of that in mind and Carbine's stellar reputation and a little bit of Bid Nerds mojo, I had hoped our car would find its way all the way to $250,000. JP, you took the over by $8. $250,008, basically taking the over. Jason Roth really liked this car, and he went higher than both of us. Jason gave us $265,000 for his bid. Rami, I bring it to you for the first time tonight.
You gonna ask?
I'm glad you finally made it to the show. What do you think about the Z8? Have you driven one before? And what do you think about this surge we've seen in the value for special colors? And then give us a bid on this car.
Yeah, so my dad has a Z8.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
What color?
Silver with red interior.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so the car from the James Bond movie, right? The same color, the whole thing. And the value of those has gone up and down over the years completely. But that car is special. It's got a lot of really cool and unique features about it, but that color is special. And I think that car should go for like $243.
$243 is an excellent bid. Our car hammered for just $196,000.
What?
Where it failed to sell on 31 bids. JP, this is a tough one. It's a tough one to unpack. Chris has a wonderful reputation in the market, and especially on Cars and Bids. Doug DeMiro had featured two different things that were, emails that went out the week this car was going live.
So it was on Cars and Bids? I didn't realize it was on Cars and Bids. Oh.
So Doug did that email of his top sellers. Chris Carbine was listed as one of those. And then Doug did his weekly email, and Carbine's listing for the Topaz Z8 was at the top of the email, the only car in the first page, which was great.
Wow.
Still, do we think that a car like this deserves a different platform? Could we have seen, could Chris have been better served going to more upscale platform like Sotheby's. Instead of if he wants to avoid BAT and the riffraff, which I don't understand. I don't fault anybody for wanting to stay away from that mess. P-car market's not the answer, but would a car like this have probably done more on Sotheby's? What do we think? It's easy for us to second guess because here we are. But I'm shocked that they couldn't even see $200,000 on the clock, let alone anything near the reserve. We kind of inside know where that was, and we didn't get close to that. So what do you think, John?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that it needed to go to the Sotheby's or live auction. I think it just needed to not be on Cars and Bids. I mean, like Cars and Bids, Doug DeMuro, I feel like he's dead. I mean, I just don't think – I think this platform is toast. They got rid of half their people or more. Yep. I think there's, 4 guys working there or something like that. Doug DeMuro shows up every now and then. The platform just – it's a wasteland, especially for a car this nice. You know that there's 4 cars up there, and they got this and an A-Team van next to it. There's no excuse for that. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. And we will get to that in a moment. But Rami, you know these cars.
I know this car very well.
What do you think of that result?
I think it's silly. I don't think people understand that car. The build quality on that car is incredible.
Yeah.
Like they went nuts with it.
Yeah, they did.
They're really
handmade.
They're handmade,
and they tested the snot out of it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the indicators are neon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's really weird. Like the car has all these quirky, weird things about it, like that. Like even the little to get in the car on the door handle, you have to flip up that little door, like this little gizmo, and then stick the key in like that and turn. It's all quirky and weird. I love it. I think it's great. Yeah. And it's just if you drive it. It's interesting because it's roadster.
Yeah.
But the engine's enormous.
Yeah.
And then you just
it's M5.
Yeah. It just feels great.
Yeah. Convertible M5. Yeah.
I'll tell you, most of the BMWs I drive, they don't feel like that. They don't feel like that car.
No,
that car's way tighter.
Yeah.
It is just it's an all-around better vehicle. It's amazing.
All right.
That deserve to be on an all-around better platform. And I think that's the bottom line. I think that, if they really wanted to sell it, maybe they would have had a lower reserve, but I think this car is worth the money that they were asking, that they wanted for it. It just, Doug can't get it done. Let us know what you think. Is Doug DeMuro on his way out? Does it matter? Should he even bother trying to sell a car on I think we're talking about winners and losers, and I think Doug DeMuro is the big loser because this next car on the list, we're not kidding when we said, here's a $200,000 car, and the next car right next to it on the same damn platform is this beauty right here, Deeb. Take it away. What is it?
All right, JP, let's circle back to the 1994 GMC Vandura 3500, an A-Team van replica with a 5.7-liter V8. This car is on Cars and Bids and was a few lots down from the beautiful $250,000 topaz blue Z8, also on the same site. Our car, JP, is showing 142,000 miles and listed out of Henderson, Nevada. Could have picked it up, Rami, if you
Boulder City.
Yeah, absolutely. on your way to Topak. JP, we kind of laughed at this listing, but it really shines a light on sort of the pitfalls of Doug DeMuro's sort of laissez-faire attitude on how he curates the cars on the site. And again, one of the guys that got shown the door was the auction referee, the guy who literally presides over how the auction is laid out. So whoever's doing it now, that wasn't their job the last few years. So JP, according to our friends at classic.com, a 94 GMC Vandura 3500 actually brings on average $17,000 in the secondary market.
What?
John, despite that obscene number, I didn't think this car would break 10 grand. My bid was $9,800. JP, your bid was like half of mine at $4,500, and Jason Roth was much closer to me at $8,500. Rami, you've seen it. Believe it. It's true. It's real. This actually happened. What do you think the hammer was?
This did not sell.
best comment on Bidner's ever. This pile of shit is going nowhere.
That thing is just, it's the worst. Like, if you're going to do an A-Team van, at least do it well. Like, that thing sucks. Oh, my God. You know what was better was the model in the picture. You might as well buy the model. That thing is just awful.
Yeah. Give me a number, Rami.
Like, no. I'm 2,500.
2,500.
I hate that thing.
All right. So this van hammered at $6,000 where it failed to sell, as you predicted, Rami, on 9 bids. JP, you were the winner because you literally were the closest. You were within $1,500. But JP, here's the thing. We talk about the platform. You know, it's a dating service and all that sort of thing, but the platform has to do something else for the client besides putting them in touch either with their buyer or with their seller. And they have to do a service for the seller.
Added value.
This car should never have run with a reserve. That personally, I don't think this car should have run on the site, period. If it was up to me and JP, this car would have been refuted. But if Doug DeMuro is going to pull down his shorts all the way to his ankles and bend over his desk and take anything that is thrown to him, there's got to be somebody at the door that referees the assets. No dumpsters, no other cars, no cinder blocks, you know what I mean? And then a car that comes in that you know is not going to break 10 grand, you got to run that thing no reserve. If you're going to bother to have your staff go through all this effing trouble, make it worth their while.
Yes.
And this guy would have got more than $6 grand if it ran no reserve, and the car probably would have sold and everybody would have been happy. But Doug's got no backbone and he's got no common sense. And this,
or he just
I don't want to pick on Chris Carbine, but I don't know why Chris keeps going back to him. Chris and Chris's clients should not be let down by this lack of service. And the irony is, so did the guy that owned the A-Team van in Henderson. He got let down by a lack of service, and it's deplorable, John. Like, it's ridiculous.
And that guy definitely lives off Boulder Highway.
Well, he might live in the van. I mean, he was probably hoping to move into a dumpster behind the Red Dwarf. Look, I do think that there is a world where this car does belong on a platform like Cars and Bids. Cars and Bids, one brand point, their one kind of thing is that we're weird and we're quirky. That can work for a product like this. If this van were presented, if they had assets where they had shot this thing and it looked like it was in an A-Team episode, right?
Totally.
If they had it like screeching down the old part of Vegas or something right here, what you were going to say?
Even Doug dressed up as, like Hannibal and a couple of the people just in silly clothing, it would have helped.
Right.
It would have helped.
I mean,
like anything would have helped.
Something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. One of the rules on all the platforms that they never let a person be in the shot, right?
Oh, right.
So I get that, but you could have done it in the video. You could have done an awesome, quirky little A-Team, playoff,
little montage.
But some kind of assets that basically say, yes, this car is this is ironic. No one's buying this because they actually need a van, right? No one's buying this because they want to go pick up children at the elementary with a bunch of candy.
Oh boy.
That may have sold it, right? That was one of the people, somebody in the comments said that. But this van was it's just a pile of crap, and it looks like it probably has a lot of DNA in the back, and it should have just been sold on Facebook Marketplace, and that's where it's going to wind up.
Should we buy it and do an episode of the A-Team?
I sent you the link. I was like, yeah, for $2 or $3 grand, this would be a fantastic. But we'd be buying it ironically. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, what do you guys think of the A-Team van, and what do you guys think of Doug DeMuro's platform? Should any serious seller be wasting their time with Doug DeMuro anymore, or is it finally just obvious? Are we all ready? I know everyone gives me crap because I give him a hard time, but is everyone else finally ready to come to Jesus and realize Doug DeMuro is a freaking idiot and he's just a dork and he shouldn't be running a sales platform? Or if it's fine that he owns one, but get some people that know what the hell you're doing. Stay the hell out of it, Doug. Make a video about stuff, drive people to the site, but don't think you know how to run it. Doug DeMuro, definitely one of the top 10 losers in the car world this year for 2025. I predict that Cars and Bids will go out of business before P-Car Market. You heard it here first. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. And do we have another car from the last episode?
Yeah, JP,
one more,
please.
JP.
One more,
Please,
let's hit it.
JP,
What do we got?
Let's hear what you really think.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's teetering.
I'm holding back.
He's on the fence. He's on the fence.
I don't want to get people all shook up.
All right, JP, let's take another look at the 1996 Alfa Romeo Spyder twin twin spark that was running no reserve on Bring a Trailer out of Phoenix, Arizona. Our car is showing 64,000 kilometers, which is about 40,000 miles. JP, we took a quick look at this car because we were running out of time on the last show, and we just really went to bids. What's interesting is this car has been offered at live auction twice this calendar year. It sold once for 12 grand, and then a month later, no sale at like 6 grand, which is crazy.
Weird.
And so now the car has been brought to Bring a Trailer, and it's very easy to find those comps because this is a gray market car. They were never sold in the United States. So if you're looking for comparable sales results of this generation of the Alfa Spyder, this car comes up twice in the last 2 months, which is, John, you and I know that's the kiss of death. And I hope everybody that's watching understands that because we're not going to take the time to explain it on this lowly little Alfa. These cars are cute, but they're front wheel drive and they don't have any power and they don't handle very well. So that's all they are, is cute. This is a car that, JP, I would say you would drive ironically because it's not a performance car despite Alfa Romeo's stellar reputation from a century ago. John, without further ado, we didn't think this car stood a chance. I gave you the bid of $10,800, and that was me being optimistic because I generally love Alfa Romeo. You took the under at $9,800, and Jason Roth, like, bless his heart, we didn't give him very much time. He went $12,500, which is similar to the sale price in January, which I think was at Mecum. Rami, I don't know that I wouldn't suppose that you know a lot about these particular cars, but a car that is listed twice in some bad live auctions, you know, like an Alfa at a Barrett Jackson, that's a, you know, that's a needle in a haystack. That's the wrong car. You're not going to find the audience.
Correct.
And now it's at BAT with some half-assed assets. What do you think was going to be the hammer?
Oh my God, this car is so weird. I've seen these cars in Britain when I lived there. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's a weird car. It has no power. You're right.
Right.
And it doesn't drive well. And in Britain they were going for like 2,500 pounds.
Right.
When I lived there years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine it would be much more money. And if anybody's driven one of those, they'd know. It's like you need to be a librarian.
Yeah, totally.
Terrible.
Right.
It's terrible. So, I don't know, like $3,500 bucks.
$3,500, and we'd all be wrong because this car hammered for $14,250, where it's sold on 28 bids. JP, let's forget
how many
about
librarians are there?
Yeah, but let's forget about the car for just a half a second. John, the car is literally incidental. A car went to auction, live auction, twice this year, and went 12 grand and like 6 grand or 8 grand or something like that, and then it comes with terrible assets to the largest live auction platform in the world and shocks us all at $14,250. By the way, JP, this car ran no reserve. Again, when you're looking at a car with that many usual comps or a low value, like we were talking about that A-Team van on Cars and Bids, I guarantee you, Bring a Trailer said, we'll only take the listing if it runs no reserve. I promise you that's correct without knowing for sure. But here we go. $14,250. It just shows you, to me, I think it shows you the power of the platform over even the live auctions, especially for this, like, you know, I mean, really, we're talking bottom feeder stuff here. You know what I mean? These are early off-day listings, but it comes here and gets like a high watermark number for the year. You know, it's kind of crazy. Anything to add to this nonsense over a worthless car?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of cars from this era that are very popular and bring in a lot of money. I mean, if this were like a 96 Mustang, you know, whatever, even a GT or something like that would bring probably this much or more with that kind of miles in this kind of condition. But this just tells you that this Alfa is just kind of a piece of junk because, I mean, I don't understand this era. All the European cars were trying to make front wheel drive cars all of a sudden when that was the one thing they had was the fact that it was the old ones were rear wheel drive. That's what made them you can live with less power if the driving is coming from the rear wheels. But this car, I don't know. I just don't see it even appealing to the young timers very much, but it is decidedly rad in a rad wood sensibility sort of way.
Yeah. I mean, but if it's European back in the 90s, all they wanted was like better fuel economy and it had to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Like you're going to drive that thing around and the mirrors are going to fall off, the door handles are going to come off. Yeah. It's
to your point about cheaper though, answers JP's things like why did they go front wheel drive? Because they were platforms sharing with a bunch of, you know, econo boxes,
because it's cheaper,
which were the easiest way to get across town. A diesel econo box was the platform, you know, a Seat or something in another market was the platform for the cheapest way to reinvent the Alfa Spyder. They weren't going to go develop a whole new platform that was rear-wheel drive. They didn't have the money. Alfa was losing their ass at this point. They're still losing their ass.
They still are.
So there you go.
All right, what do you guys think of the results of this Euro Alpha that you couldn't get here in America, but you can on PAT? This car is definitely something that I would have expected to see on Cars and Bids, but the seller was the one winner of last week because everyone else was a hard loser. He was the only one that sold his car, so congrats to the Alpha
Congratulations,
owner.
buddy.
And Jason won that one.
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and let's come back with some brand new predictions and see if we can pick some winners and losers for next week. Stick around. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. 30 seconds. Hey, guys, I got to tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you got to call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Hey, guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. And we are back. We're looking at our watches, our Our Smiths Avieras, going, hey, it's time for more Bid Nerds and predictions. Actually, Rami, you got a question for Anthony from Our Smiths. Yes. Rami, what did you want to ask Anthony?
I just wanted to ask Anthony where my MiG clock is. I've got a clock. JP gave me a present. It was a clock from a MiG 22, I think. Mm-hmm. And it needs to go in my car, and Anthony's going to fix it. So send it on over, Anthony. I know you're busy.
Anthony moved into a whole new place. If you ever go to Boise, you have to go see his shop.
Wow, really?
Anthony rents an office, workspace, showroom in this like gorgeous old like 150-year-old brick building. Anthony had a place like in the back of the building, awesome. And now he's got a new office with beautiful glass doors, and his space affords him now a closed door office so he can work and avoid all the customers. But anyway, you got to go by and visit it. It's really awesome if you go in there. And of course, Anthony's such a geek like us, so there's Porsche stuff everywhere on the walls. Like it's all watches and cars in there. If you go, you'll have a great time. And if you tell Anthony you've seen him on Bid Nerds, he'll go out and drink with you.
Yeah, and he's very talented.
We've before we get to predictions, Single Cab from the Nerd Herd has some beef with us. He said, "Can we stop saying assets instead of photos or photographs, for Christ's sake?
Sure.
Pictures. Sure. Nowhere except here does anyone call photographs assets. So pretentious.
It's so pretentious. It's so JP.
Pretentious. No, there's a reason for it. There's actually a very specific reason.
He's going to justify it.
Of course, we're nerds, right? This is a nerd show. It's because we're not just talking about the photographs. We're also talking about the videos. Yeah. We're also talking about the descriptions. We're also talking about all of the assets that combine together in order to sell your car. So yes, photographs are absolutely the biggest part of that, but that is not all we are talking about.
So they're still assets.
It's still assets. It's kind of an advertising thing.
It's such an advertising thing.
Yeah, I mean, we create
JP,
the
don't be soft-focused.
Yeah,
right,
Mad Men.
But Single Cab, we're hearing you. We listen to you, but we are pretentious dicks. If we could rename the show to Bid Dicks, that would just see. I kind of like the sound of that. We all swinging big dicks.
Easy.
I love it.
Yeah. Who's going to buy the dip?
All right, there it is. Let's go.
Or just Bid Dick.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. We got some predictions. Let's pick some winners. Let's pick some losers. Are they all going to be losers like last week? What do we got? What's the first car on the list? Michael D.
All right, JP. P-Car Market is on the clock. Check out this 2023 Porsche 911 Sport Classic. They only made these cars for 1 year. I don't know how many they made. One of 1250 for the world. I don't know how many came stateside, but I do think, JP, and correct me if you know better than I, that this sport gray metallic was like the show car. You know what I mean? So I would say that probably half of the Sport Classics are going to be painted in this colorway, but that's not a bad thing. This is the Sport Classic color, the one they did on the 997 that was only available to the rest of the world and not in the U.S. What we have here, basically, Rami, I know you know this car. It's a 911 Turbo with a 7-speed manual and rear-wheel drive. This is not a GT2, but it is definitely a GT2 light, and I just dig this car, JP. I don't mind the livery. I love that they offered like this cognac interior with the houndstooth and the Pepita and all these cool colors. What I don't like is that these things were breathtakingly expensive. You basically had to be invited to come down to the store and order one. Lay people like you and me, JP, we couldn't put our allowances together and go down and buy one. Couldn't go halvesies on one. Anyway, P-Car Market is selling this one for its seller out of Cincinnati, Ohio. 672 miles is all that's on the odometer. This car is barely broken in, JP. Very limited car. They bring big money in the secondary market. I know these cars were close to $300,000 and $400,000. I don't know exactly what they cost. Maybe I'll find the window sticker before we're done here. But they tend to bring $500,000 in the secondary market. This one doesn't even have 1,000 miles on it. 672 miles. It's barely had 2 tanks of gas. But I still think that this car could do well on P-Car Market, despite the platform and all of its challenges dealing with them. This is the type of car that would the real buyers would follow to try and grab, especially with that low odometer. So I think this car has a chance, and it's off to a pretty good start. It closes in a couple days, but the numbers look like it might have a chance, and it'll be up to us to determine if we think it'll get there or not. JP, you're super close with Godden. I know they delivered several of these. Any chance in heck they ever turned you loose in one to take photographs, or did you get to drive one by chance? Have they
Nope.
sold a used
Move
one?
on.
Nope. All right, you go to you then. All right, well then, what do you think about these limited editions? You've never driven one, but what do you think about like the idea of the car? Like, why isn't a car like this, JP, a regular model that you could just order?
Thank you.
There we go.
Because Porsche makes more money on stupid buyers. The
That would be
Porsche members spend extra money. I don't see you buying this car. It doesn't have any extra real power. It's not that whiz bang. It's got a little bit more power.
Is it all-wheel drive?
No, it's rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm
And
not
manual.
saying it's a bad car, but it's not worth the extra squeeze. They know that there are a certain amount of Porsche buyers that will pay 10, 20, 50% more if it has a stupid sticker and a special little divot on the roof and some stupid stuff in the interior. Yes, it's actually all nice. It is actually cool stuff, but it's not worth 20, 30, 50% more than a regular one. If you're going to spend that kind of extra money, spend the extra money and get something that's actually better, a GTS or a GT3 or something that's really going to actually give you something other than just a little bit of aesthetic whiz bang on the, for all that extra money. Rami, do you really like this car?
No. I was going to say like it's crazy that the manual transmission is what's special about this car. Sure. When it used to be like you get a manual for less money, and like that's all it really is.
Yeah.
And like you could just offer it, and you could pay a little extra for the manual transmission. So it makes no sense. The car makes no sense. I agree with you, JP. It probably drives great, and it's an awesome car. But I think this is a car.
Doubt.
JP, this is a car for a guy who already has a GT2 RS, has a GT3 RS, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this thing. It's cool. That's it.
He wants to flex.
That's the only wants
He
to
wants
flex.
to
The
show
only
it off.
customer.
Yeah.
The only or the guy who's like, I'm gonna get it because I have an allocation, and then I'm gonna sell for 3 times the price. It's like,
Dealer principles are the only
dealer
people getting
principles.
these.
Exactly. True. Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right,
That's
what's
it.
it going to bring, Deep?
All right, JP. According to our friends at Classic.com, the average selling price for a 2023 Sport Classic in the secondary market is literally $500,000.
Oh my
even.
God.
Our car,
Makes no
despite
sense.
being on P-Car Market, is already at $379,921. That comes to us by way of 9 bids. The car doesn't close for 2 days. And JP, the question is it going to get to the $500,000 this guy is obviously looking for? I say it's going to fall a little bit short. My bid, JP, is going to be $460,000, and I bet it winds up in the deal tank, the chum bucket, for over $500,000 so that he can negotiate down to $500,000. So I'm guessing it winds up in the deal tank for like $530,000. So JP, my bid is $460,000 FTS. Where you at?
Yeah, I think this guy's definitely going to be a loser. Great car, but not worth all that extra money. For that kind of money, there's GT2s, there's GT3 RSs. There's so many other cars that are so much higher on the list that you can still flex. I don't get this car. I think it's going to be a loser. I'm going to say 420,992 and pass it off to my friend Rami. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. I like this car. I wouldn't buy it, but I like it. And you're exactly right. There are so many other cars in this price range that are so much better. But I mean, if you have the money, go buy it. But I think 439.
439. That's a good bid.
It's a good number. Deep, how much is a 992 GTS with a manual? Like, how much is that car?
Oh, that car is over 200 grand now when you spec it out.
Right.
Really?
So you could get that and a Speedster for your wife or something like that. I mean, there's so many. It's like, just because this one has a divot on the roof and on the hood, that's just, give me a break. $500,000. Get out of here. This is stupid people.
Get a 997 Mark II GT3 RS.
JP,
There's so many cars. We could sit here and spend the rest of the hour talking about cars that make more sense for $500,000.
Quick question, though. So we all agree that the car is not going to sell, not because the car is bad, even if we don't fully understand why people are like throwing themselves over the hood of these things. But what platform do you think this car should have gone to? Should it have gone to BAT? Should it have gone to Sotheby's? Should it have gone to a live auction? Should it have been in a forum? What do you think, JP? Where should it have gone
I think
to get the 500?
I think Sotheby's makes the sense. And I think it would stand a good chance on BAT.
Yeah.
With the right seller.
Yeah, with the right seller, with Michael Deep.
Mikey Deep.
This thing might still sell here on P-Car Market. That's one thing
might.
we knock on P-Car Market, but every now and then they pull one out. And I think you're right, Deep. The car is popular enough. This is the type of car
and hard to get.
That is hard to get, and there are a handful, albeit a small handful, but there are a handful of people that want the car. Yeah, what do you want?
No, I don't want it.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
I'm just kidding.
If a GTS is, what'd you say, $200,000?
Yeah, like 220.
Yeah, if this car were $250,000 and a GTS were $220,000, okay, now we're talking.
Yeah,
that makes sense. You know, a little bit more money for some cool, stuff, but twice as much. Get out of here.
So
all right,
I want to say something to Rami real quick. Your buddy Bruce Canepa has a paint to sample yachting blue, which is a gorgeous, like dark blue metallic version of this car at his place with like 100 miles on it. I know they quote you and they chase you down to look at cars, and they give you numbers that the rest of us don't get because on their website they don't put any pricing. I'd love for you to find out what they're asking. I'm guessing because it's paint to sample and hasn't been driven, I'm guessing $750,000 or higher because Bruce is representing it. So if somebody whispers, if somebody whispers to you about that car, let us know and we'll share it with the world. Yeah, there you go.
It's just an email.
Yeah, there you go.
Most of the nerd herd is with us. Nobody thinks this thing's going to make 500.
No.
Chris seems to think it's going to. Chris Carbine does seem to think that it's going to get up to 485 and sell.
Yep.
Chris, only if you put it on Cars and Bids.
Doug DeMiro will fail to sell this car. All right, unless it comes with a little kid in the back. All right, let's move on to the next car. What do we got?
Oh my God.
That's for Michael.
We're all going to hell. Yeah. All right, here we go. JP.
He just looks like a pedophile. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he is.
It's the haircut. It
looks like one. Come on, you all know I'm right.
Socks and sandals don't go together, Doug. All right, here we go.
Bro.
He looks like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber.
Freaking guy. That's when he looked. That's on a good day.
Yeah. If it gets cold enough.
All right. What's the next car? What do we got?
All right, JP. We got one that we might tempt Rami with, or at least half of the people in the nerd herd are going to like, is Rami buying it? Rami, did you know right now if you jumped on to Bring a Trailer or watch tonight's show, you would lay your eyes on a 2004 Kraftwerkz LMK 917, which is basically a kit car. And is built with a 3.8 liter 964 motor. So our car is listed on Bring a Trailer at a Sandbury, Ohio. True mileage unknown. It seems like it's a recent completion. Let's see. The car came out of Australia in 2004 before being delivered to the commissioning owner in Maine. After its arrival in the U.S., it was completed in installation by a Jerry Woods built 3.8 liter. That tells me that 3.8 JP is probably 100 horsepower per liter. So we could be looking at 380 to 400 horsepower by his version of a 964 build. Individual throttle bodies. And a car that probably weighs something in line with like a Carmen Ghia.
Right.
Rami, I don't know if this will go in and out of your driveway. However, this could be one of the faster cars in your collection should it wind up there one day. But this car really, JP, is about the look. It's about the dream or the fantasy of owning and operating your own 917 and possibly driving around your suburban neighborhood if you lived in a fancy gated community like they have in Sandbury, Ohio. I've never heard of Kraftwerkz. I'd love for the herd to tell me or tell us if these guys have a good reputation. Like, we're all very well versed in the Beck Speedsters and various other, different versions of different cars. But Kraftwerkz and the LMK, I don't know, JP, that I've ever seen a replica 917 or that I've ever heard of this company. But based on the weight and the powertrain that's back there, you're talking about something that's like really fun, really revvy, and really reliable. So would the rest of the car hold up? You know what I mean? Like that motor back there, even stretched to 380 horsepower, is going to be a pretty reliable and pretty robust engine that's going to rev to 8,000, close to 8,000 RPM, which would make this thing pretty damn exciting. So JP, I know you like replicas. If this one stayed under 100 grand, would it start to tempt you, or is it just too, it's just too far gone? Like you can't even pull into the shopping center at Cars and Coffee. Look at that front overhang. This thing needs to be on a closed course.
Yeah, is it legally streetable? I mean, I guess it is if it's got lights. I mean, you can pretty much street anything. It's a two. I mean, this has got to be one hell of a track car and a lot of fun to drive around. It looks like it's teeny, like in real life. This car just when you showed it next to some of the other cars, like a 904 replica or whatever. Yeah, this thing is just. I've seen lots of 917 replicas. I've just never seen a good one. Yeah. Most of them are just, they look terrible. Crap, They have a Volkswagen engine in them. Exactly. I mean, they're just absolute garbage. This is true to the idea of the original, and holy God, this has got to be fun to drive. The only thing that would keep me from seriously considering it, if I, had the budget for, something crazy like this, is the fact that it's right-hand drive, even though it has the shifter on the right, which would make it certainly easier to drive for a dyslexic guy like me. That would just bug me.
Wait a minute. Is right-hand drive, but the shifter's on the right?
It is,
correct. Yeah.
See if you can skip ahead and show everybody what you're talking about.
That. What do you think of the car, Rami? Yeah.
I like it. I love it. I think it's great. I've looked at buying a 917, like a real one, and they're crazy. Yeah. They're out of control. Yeah. And they have a couple in Europe. You could buy.
Yeah.
For sure. If you have that kind of money.
A real one, you absolutely can't drive on the street. Whereas this, maybe you could, right?
Yeah. This one you could drive on the street. I mean, some of my cars are close to being this racy, but not that low.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get away with it. It wouldn't be a problem. But the car is sick. It's like you get everything. You get the race car look, you get the race car drive and feel and the power to weight ratio, but you can drive it around town. It's awesome. Yeah. That's great. And take it to the track. It's the ultimate GT3.
Yeah, there's that shifter on the right. Okay.
What the heck?
Isn't that crazy?
That's so weird.
All right, what do we think it's going to bring?
All right, JP, I'm just going to say this right off the bat. So we'll do some values, and I want to make one little point. So according to Classic.com, a real 917 race car is a $2,900 conversation in today's money. That's what they're bringing today.
What?
I'm sorry. $2 million.
$2,000. Sign me up for 8 of them.
Yeah, I'll get 10.
It's been a long weekend. $2 million.
That's because you're staying with me.
I know.
And it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Yeah. $2,900,000 for a real 917.
Yeah.
Our car is currently at $80,000 and it closes tomorrow. That $80,000 comes to us by way of 12 bids. So JP, on the prospect that this car doesn't go very much further from here, I'm just telling you that Jerry Woods built 3.8 is probably an $80,000 accessory included in the sale. I could almost see somebody bidding on this car with the intention of just taking that motor out of it and putting it in something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, with that in mind, JP, the thing is, at 80 grand, do I think this car is going to double in value, at Hammer? Probably not. But, I don't, like you said, I don't remember seeing a lot of 917 replicas, and this one looks pretty decent, and that motor is actually special. So I'm going to go 150 grand. I have no idea if it would sell there. To me, it looks like this is, $250,000 to $300,000 to put this together, but I don't know. I'm just guessing here. So 150, no clue if it sells or not, if it gets to my number. Where are you at on this whole thing? It's at 80 grand now, but it's down tomorrow. It's Hammer tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, this thing should be just worth all the money, but replicas don't bring it. They just don't. No matter how good they are. We talked about that Jaguar E-Type replica a couple of weeks ago, and that failed. We brought up, and Rami and I all three of us were talking about it over lunch, that 904, the Beck's Beck replica, the one that Beck built for himself with a 997 GT3 engine in it with ITBs, a Metzger engine. I mean, this car would cost you $300,000 to build, and it sold on BAT, what, 3, 4, 5 months ago for like $130.
Yeah,
and it wasn't, it definitely didn't make it to 140. Yeah, so it was 120. Okay,
124?
Yeah, I mean, it just, they just don't, I know, I wish you had.
It's yes and no with that. Like, I wouldn't spend the money on a replica either. That's the problem.
I mean, you see Tony's all the time, and that car is a fantastic car, and I'd love for you to drive it because I think it'll change your mind.
Tony's because it's Tony's.
Right, and Beck's is even better. Tony is cool, and we love Tony. But Beck's is like, oh my God, it's got to be way crazy.
No, it's a great car. It's just, will it hold value? It's only going to be valuable to certain people.
I mean, they kind of sit there. I don't know.
Whereas, the $2 million race car is $2 million,
and they're going up,
and they're going up.
$5 million.
It'll be $5 million in a
years.
couple of years. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Deeb, I'm with you though. Look at that. The
car's beautiful.
Freaking engine.
Is that engine? That might be $100,000 motor sitting there in this like quirky, almost unusable replica.
85 to 100.
I would buy this car.
What was your number, Deeb?
150.
150. Okay, I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna say it doubles. I'm gonna go 160. And
really,
I'm sure I'm wrong. I'll probably fizzle out at $139. Like that.
139. All right,
139. Cool. Okay, cool.
Rami's bearish.
All right, let's move on. We've got very little time. Let's see if we can bust out a couple more cars real quick.
All right, JP, let's take a quick look on cars and bids. Right now, there's a 2008 BMW M3 Convertible with a 6-speed manual. Car's been in California most of its life, and it's got 69,000 miles. It's listed out of Antioch, which is here in the Bay. Well, here. I thought I was home. Which is back home in the Bay Area. JP, I picked this car for you because it's black on black. I know you're going to get a toy one of these days, but you're going to need a daily driver, and you could do a lot worse than this car right here. And I have a feeling, JP, this is going to be a temptingly low hammer number for you that you might want to consider it. You could fly out to see me at Cars and Coffee and drive your brand new BMW back home to Clark County. Anyways, JP, nice car, not overly styled. It's just got the standard 18-inch wheels. But the big thing here is black on black with a 6-speed manual. Nice. So what do you think?
Yeah, these are tons of fun. It's a great car all around. The E90 or E92 platform, whatever, I always get them confused. This is just a great driver, but honestly, for me, I would rather spend the money on an E46 M3. They're about the same money, even though this car is faster, better in every measurable way. The E46 is just more me.
It's cool.
What do you think, Rami?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That car is cool. The E46 is cool.
E46,
this car, I don't know, but it's
more you. It's a V8 with turbos. I mean, this thing hauls out.
No turbos.
Aren't they turbos?
Normally aspirated.
It's naturally aspirated, this one. But it's BMWs, those, especially these. Like, have you ever driven one of these?
Yeah.
Like the chassis twisting is ridiculous.
The convertible, yeah.
Yeah, the convertible. It's ridiculous. Like, it's like, oh my God. Like, you see the windshield moving like this, and it's like, okay, all right. Yeah, they just don't drive well. They don't drive well. Even though BMW is the driving machine, these ones don't drive too well. So I don't know. Not my favorite
I think that's
car.
a relative statement, but yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I think you'd tear one up, but there it is. All right, what do we think it's going to go for? Quick.
All right, JP, our friends at Classic.com say that the 08 M3 convertible with a manual is typically $28,000. Our car is currently sitting at $19,100 on 21 bids, and it closes tomorrow. JP, I think $23,003 is everything for this car on this platform. And these terrible assets.
Where's it at right now?
It's at 19,100.
Yeah, I don't think it breaks 20. I think it stalls out. Cars and Bids can't get it done. So I'm going to say $19,003. What do you think, Rami?
It's at 19,100. So give me a
I'll
little more
go.
money.
Well, I'll go 19,999.
19,000.
Yeah.
All nines. Yeah, just a dollar under 20,000. What do you think, Rami?
2250.
2250. Boom. Yeah, I mean, these are popular cars. People like them. I mean, that's a lot of car for not much money. Mm-hmm. Watch out for rod bearings. Were the rod bearings replaced on this thing?
Who reads ads?
No.
It's just easier to talk smack and
what
not
are you,
do
a
any
bit
homework.
nerd?
I know, right?
Rod bearings.
Should we do one more?
Yeah, let's bust out this other one. We still got a little bit of time. What do we got?
All right, JP. Right now on Bring a Trailer, they have a 1971 Alfa Romeo GTV 1750. That car would have been injected in this country But somebody has done and put this incredible twin spark 2.1 liter stroker motor in it. The car is on Bring a Trailer at a New Britain, Connecticut, showing 73,000 miles on the odometer. 5-speed manual, limited slip differential, very special JP olive green metallic paint, which is really, really rare. We don't see that. This generation of the GTVs came with these beautiful wing seats. And the interior in this car looks fantastic. I hate the wooden steering wheel, but those seats are beautiful. 15-inch GTA style, chromoly wheels or whatever. The car looks great. They took the bumpers off of it. It looks like a race car. And that motor, John, I'm telling you, is putting out 200 horsepower. This thing absolutely flies. So this is about as good as it gets. Surprisingly, it closes in like 4 days from now, but surprisingly, the current bid is kind of low. I expected this car to look a little, to have a little more money on the clock, but I think it'll get there because good GTVs bring good money, and I think this is a great GTV, so I expect this car to do well. Where are you at?
What do you think it's going to bring?
All right, JP. GTVs from 1971, these 1750 injected cars typically bring 48 grand. I think this one hits $75,000. What's your bid?
Boy, that is really tough. I think it's a great car, and I do really like it. But, we've been driving around that Ferrari Dino all week taking shots of it. And that's, the Dinos you can get for the same money or less. And you're getting a V8 and you're getting something that says Ferrari on it, sort of. But does this car bring more money? Do people want to pay more for these than a Ferrari Dino? Probably, unfortunately. So I'm going to go under you, though, and say that this car is a little obscure. And I don't know if people will pass over the listing, not realizing it has such a hopped up engine and just think it's a regular one. I'm going to go 55,000 and hand it off to Rami. What do you think?
What was your bid, Deep?
75,000.
75,000. Wow. Yeah, I like this car a lot. I've seen
$30,000 motor.
Yeah. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Impressive.
Easy.
Okay. Yeah, and it's in New Britain.
Yeah.
Everybody there likes old cars. Yeah, it's a very cool car. Very unique color. The setup on it's great. I love how they took the bumpers off of it. You're right about the seats. They're sick.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous seats. The interior of this car is gorgeous, and the engine bay looks amazing. So I'm thinking, I'm going to go a little higher than you and say, I'm going to say 78.
78. There you go.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Because I like that car. I think it's cool. I think for the right person, get a new steering wheel. For the right person, you can get that steering wheel.
First of all, you're never going to find another olive green metallic. And if you did, you couldn't build this car for $78,000. So that's a good bid.
Yeah.
That's a show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Deep, thanks for visiting us here in Las Vegas. Great to have you in the Rami studio. Rami, thanks for being here tonight.
My pleasure.
Great to have you in the Rami studio. It's great to have all of you watching the show in the Nerd Herd. We love you guys that watch it live. It's really great to do the show with you. We're trying to get all the comments on and do the best I can, but trying to do it all.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Good stuff.
And of course, shout out to our friends at Porsche Henderson and Godden Classic. And of course, Our Smiths up there in Idaho. We will be back Sunday night at 6:30. And let's make some plans for Air and Water at the end of the month.
Yes.
Air and Water. Southern California.
Patrick LeBeau is going to be at Air and Water.
Nice.
And Chris Carbine likes my glasses. Thank you, Chris. I love you.
All right. There it is. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, and notification button. And we will see you guys Sunday night. Bye.
Okay,
hey guys, I got to tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you got to call our friend Steve at